Good afternoon, everybody. All those souls out there that are going through massive shifts and changes. I'm here to come forward with a bit of an energy update and some information that's been presented to me as of recently, which, if I'm being totally honest, I'm still trying to process myself and to fully make sense of, but I have been guided to speak on it anyways because I know that there are many others going through this sort of expansion right now, including some of the timeline shifts that have happened and those that have made the leap into new realities and dimensions for their life and their mission. And really, that's one of the biggest things, and those that I feel that I'm here to support at this time is those that know that they have a mission and they're trying to either figure out like how to be on that mission or to be more consciously aware of the fact that they're already on the mission. And a lot of it has to do with the spiritual initiations. So as we go through our spiritual awakening, right, we begin to wake up to the truths, right, and we begin to go through this deconstruction of the ego, of everything that we have learned and known. And while we're going through this process, we can oftentimes feel as if that there's more that we should be doing. And we'll be searching for more, we're looking for answers. But what we sometimes fail to recognize is that the process that we're going through, which is usually that of focusing on your healing, focusing on the deconstruction of the ego, relearning new information, that is the mission, right? Because you've been asleep and it takes a little while to deconstruct that unconscious mind, that unconscious body of all of the data and the information that you've accumulated, not only just in this lifetime, but also in your past lives. And so that can take some time. So that in itself is part of the mission. Now, as you devote yourself to that mission. And this is one thing I'll say too, just in my own experience. This is what I'm going to say, my own experience, okay? This may not resonate with everybody. But when I knew that I was here for a mission, when I like woke up to that and I knew that I was here for a bigger purpose, I didn't know exactly what that bigger purpose was, but I knew that it was there. And my spirit guides always reminded me that it doesn't matter what the purpose is. You just need to get up every single day and do what you're guided to do and just know that that's the purpose. And as you're going through the different stages, know that that's all a part of it. Even the times where you don't feel like you're even like doing anything spiritual, that's all a part of it. Because behind the scenes, you're going through massive amounts of purging, you're going through massive amounts of upgrades and activations that take time to integrate. And as that's happening, you are also, going through the expansion of your consciousness, right? So you're being guided to learn different information and take different courses or read different books or work with different healers. I mean, I've worked with so many different healers, they all serve their purpose. So this is part of where we're at. And so when we're on mission for God, right, this is about coming back to that aspect of yourself. So there's these different stages of the awakening, right? And these different stages of the awakening will land you into different avenues of spirituality where you will start to explore esoteric knowledge, right? You'll start to explore spirit guides, angels, passed over loved ones. You'll really start to expand into that angelic realm for sure, because that angelic realm, again, are all these different aspects of yourself that you're learning how to identify and work with once again and bring online within yourself. So as you're progressing, you then move up, right? And you might start to communicate and work with elementals, right? Or different deities from different, goddesses and gods, demigods, of course, from different time frames and parallel realities. Then we have the galactics, right? Where maybe people are starting to channel with the galactics, and that starts to come online until eventually you're reaching more of the ascended masters. And then after that, you're really coming, in my experience, I'm speaking all this from experience, to the guardians, and the guardians are some of the closest beings that are working on behalf of God as the restoration and the the saving basically of this planet and what we're here to do and why we came here, this restoration mission. From there, then it's this next level where you really start to embody Christ consciousness, and you eventually reach your Godhead, right? The Godhead, the God source of this universe, which was really just within you, anyways, right? But to get there, right, to get to that level of enlightenment, you have to go through all the different identities and all the different lenses and dimensions of yourself and where you reside, moving through the healing, moving through the integration, the learning about yourself, the deconstructing of old identities and lower dimensional parallel aspects of yourself. And so this kind of brings me to my part of the conversation today, where I knew I had reached a level of Christ consciousness earlier this year, but it's been in like a bit of an integration still. And as time has gone on, things have really started to accelerate and expand. And I can always tell when my consciousness is expanding because I'm really just feeling kind of ungrounded and just kind of like, ooh, like a little bit out of it. But this is a part of the next level of ascension. And this is coming to this next topic here about something that came to me during a meditation with a friend of mine, actually a couple friends of mine. So originally what had happened is I have certain soul family members. I would say they come from the same soul cluster that we've all incarnated here together, coming back into my world and my reality now. One of them lives in BC, and we do a lot of dimensional kind of time hopping in the other realms, consciously and unconsciously. So what had happened is we went into meditation, and I earlier that day I had actually started seeing signs and synchronicities around the 20th or the 22nd dimension to the 24th dimension. Now, up until this point, my consciousness has only expanded enough to be able to understand and conceptualize up to the 15th dimension. So that's what I've been working with for about a year now. But right now, I can tell that my consciousness is expanding and beginning to move up into those 20th to 24th dimensions, which I heard was connected to the God worlds, which would make sense because as I went through this meditation with my friend, I seen us traveling through the dimensions and repairing different strands of the net in the grids of the matrix, right? The matrices that hold together the universe. And at some point along the way, after we had done enough repairing of the bridge, like it's like that bridge to be able to bridge over into those God worlds, those higher dimensions, I seen myself continue on past that 15th dimension all the way up into those, dimensions of the 20th to the 24th. In which case I began to travel, and then I found myself meeting with God. And this was pretty profound because I've always had this level of understanding of what God is, but based upon what other people had experienced or just kind of what I could conceptualize and understand at that point in my ascension journey. And so by meeting the Godhead of the universe, probably a couple weeks ago now, when I got there, I seen this big bronze eye, which is black around it. But when I got there and I reached this Godhead, I realized I was reaching this point within myself, the source point of all creation, right? From which case, I was able to receive what God had shown me as a blueprint. And I will say this as well, when I met God, it made it very clear that it did not want to be called a he, because God is not a he, God is not a she. There is no gender involved in a source point of all creation. There is no gender. It's gender neutral. And so since then, I've been constantly having to really catch myself not to say he when I say God. God is just God. God is just God, right? So upon this meeting, I was receiving this blueprint, and this blueprint, what I was told was this original blueprint of all creation. And the reason why I was receiving this now is because of my devotion to serving God, and everything that I do, every step that I take, everybody that I work with, the amount that I give more than I receive all the time. I would do a lot of stuff for free. I've been traveling now over the past year doing tons of grid work, working on the grid lines, even through remote viewing. I'm doing this because this is what I've been asked to do. And by doing what I've been asked to do, it's it's shown God that I can be trusted with a certain level of gifts and abilities, that I'm not going to use it to destruct myself or the planet. And so this, by showing my devotion and by moving through the initiation phases, I was able to unlock this. So as I'm speaking this, if you resonate with this, then you're on this same timeline, and this is just to confirm to you, right, that what you're experiencing and going through is real, and you're not crazy. This is the path, okay? So this God code creation template, what I was shown originally when I seen it was almost like this sacred geometry. And I didn't quite know what I was going to do with it at that time, but I did hear that it was going to be used to help create the new earth. And this has to start within ourselves. And so, by my devotion to my path, to realigning my template back to its most organic, original form that it possibly could be, again, by all of the healing, by all the deconstructing of my ego, by all the experiences I've had working through every dimension of myself and healing those dimensional aspects of myself, and then integrating them, and then moving on up and up, 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 as we go. So when that happened, I found that quite profound. Now, then a week later, I go into this meditation with some more of my friends, and it was supposed to be about a healing for one another, but instead I was taken to this crystal city. And I started to be shown these crystal cities. And at first, I also didn't understand what the crystal cities had to do with, until a few days ago, I heard God say to me, look up the ninth dimension. And as I was looking up the ninth dimension, I was guided to this information about the crystal cathedrals. In which case, it started to all come together for me, because I've been on this journey since, well, May of last year. I've been traveling. I went to England, Ireland, and Scotland last May. And then in September, I went back to Scotland. And then in February of this year, I went to Spain. And next, I'm being called down south of the United States, and then to France. And by doing that, I have been unlocking some really massive things, not only within myself, but within the planet as well, information. So what I was reading about these crystal cathedrals is that this is like an inner template within us that can only be housed after you've done a significant amount of inner work to be able to withstand and withhold it. And this is about changing your inner dwelling template into that of like the holy, kind of the holy templating, right? Connection with the Godhead. And this is the Christ consciousness. So embodiment of the Christ consciousness. And by being able to integrate that into my template, I can also integrate that into the planet now through my grid working. And so I know that there are many others, star seeds that are also doing this same work, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. And that's why I brought up in the beginning of the video where I was talking about how it's important to, I had to pause momentarily. So by continuing to devote yourself to the path, you will unlock these higher mission, or parts of the mission, right? Higher parts of the mission. So through this work, this is what's also drawing me to talk more about something that my friend and I down in the United States, a couple of my friends actually, in Texas and over in Illinois, one thing that we started to notice was, well, back around the eclipse, there was this black mass that was seen coming up from like Antarctica, the southern Antarctica, and it was spreading. And somebody had taken like a video of this, and we were watching this. It was on some sort of like I don't know what you would call it, where they kind of like scan the earth and they can like see like almost like a Google map kind of thing. Seeing masses and seeing different like disconfigurations within the landmass. So we had seen this and how it was spreading all the way up through Europe, North America. Now, since then, not much has been heard or seen, but then recently I had some issues with the plumbing in my home. And it was really bad. Like it was clogged for like 4 or 5 days, and I didn't know why. They weren't able to do anything with it. Finally, they were able to get it out, but when they were like putting their machines down the drain, the stuff that was coming up was like black tar. It was like oil. It was so disgusting, and it was like spraying all over my bathroom. So that was not fun to clean. But it literally was like grease. Like I could not get it off. Like it was really hard to get off. So at the same time that that was happening, I found out that my friend in Illinois and as well as my friend in Texas were both also experiencing the same thing, the same kind of liquid coming up. And so this got us to thinking and starting to put the pieces together about that black mass that was seen coming from Antarctica. Is this the continuation of that? And now is it infiltrating into our waterways? What we think it might have to do with is now, just for reference, my friend and I were talking about, and she actually brought this to my attention about how in Spider-Man, now stick with me. There was this symbiote, which was like this black goop, which if you've seen Spider-Man, you know what I'm talking about. And when it attaches to its host, it will help give that host like more physical abilities, right? It'll make them more powerful. But in return, it's also deadly because it sucks the energy from them. It's basically like a loosh harvesting, right? Like it'll create that adrenaline fatigue and really attack your life force energy in order to get these different abilities, right, that you wouldn't normally have. So this got us to thinking about how this might be coming to and for specific individuals that um, maybe aren't in their highest alignment of Christ consciousness and having not aligned with like the divinity of their path and might still be getting caught up in false light or false narratives or get quick rich kind of schemes, anything that promises or gives some sort of promotion of receiving something fast or wanting to get somewhere faster with your spiritual gifts or even with money or love or certain desires, that there's a price that comes with that. So that's just one of the insights that I've seen around that could be playing into that potentially. The other thing is, though, too, is that the fairies have been trying to communicate with me for quite some time, especially down in Texas. I've been feeling that call for them to have me come there quite intensely. And and I know that it has to do with the land. And so there's some interesting correlations with some land that's being sold down there to an oil company. And knowing that these sacred lands, as the guardians, we are here to protect the land. And by having land end up in the hands of the darkness, right, the darker entities, the darker companies, right, that are connected to all of that, is going to pose some problems and cause a little bit of well, yeah, some issues. So we'll see how that plays out. It's part of something that I'm tracking and trying to see how that's going to be. But I do feel that I need to go down south to kind of get more of that direct information from them of what they need from us and what we're supposed to be doing. Because as I was telling my friend about this, she also said that she could feel the fairies, the fae talking through her, um, trying to, communicate with me about this issue at hand and how their realm has first been infiltrated through this black symbiote type parasitic frequency that's on the planet right now, which would make sense because if it's reaching the elements right first, going into the water and the earth, then it is reaching the elemental realm first. And now we're beginning to experience it here in the 3D as it comes up through our water pipes, right, in our waterways. And really, this is, again, a parasitic frequency. What we're doing with this yet. I don't have full clarity on that. I'm more so just bringing this information forward in case you get more information on it. Maybe it's a confirmation to you, something you've been experiencing or seeing. That's the whole point of this, and how we can work together to combat this. Or is it something that we're just seeing play out right now in the collective shadow that needs to be observed, and witnessed. We'll see on that. We'll see how that comes together. But as we progress forward here on this path now, right? Many of us are really stepping into the next part of our mission, and don't forget, right? We I see this so often with so many people where they think, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like I should be on mission, or that there's some purpose. And I'm like, every day that you're alive and you're healing yourself and you're doing whatever it is that you're guided to do, even if it is something that feels totally not spiritual, that is the mission. Okay. As long as you are consciously aware that you have a mission, you're already on the mission. And for example, for me, like even over the last year, I felt this huge just like energy of just like taking a step back from being so like gung ho on everything that I was doing, not sharing as much online, keeping a lot more to myself, not working with as many clients. And I was kind of almost feeling like, is this something I even want to do anymore? Until now, I'm realizing that the whole reason that that was happening was because God was putting me through an initiation stage where certain parts of me needed to be looked at and healed in order for me to step up to the next part of the mission. And that was like some deep, heavy work. It took about a year to get through that. But naturally, your human mind wants to like project all of these, ideas of what's going on. And then you start to kind of get a little bit off track, but you'll always be brought back on track, right? That's the thing. Um, you can't not be on track. Like that's just, I don't know how else to say it. Like that's just how it's always shown to me. It doesn't matter what you're doing, even if you feel like you're going way off, you're still on. Unless of course you like completely get totally hijacked and you rebuke everything you've been doing and you go work for the darkness, right? Then that's like a totally different story. So let's talk a little bit more about these parallel dimensions in the crystal cities. So what I'm being shown right now, and what's rather interesting, is that I have these different versions of myself in these parallel realities. Some connected to Russia, some connected to Germany, and some connected to just like these cities that I don't even think are like, I don't even know if they're like fully connected to Earth. But again, I went on this meditation journey and I was shown this crystal city. And then later I realized that this is me in my higher ascended form in these cities that are these crystal cities that are the structure, the architecture, right, of light that we are anchoring here right now in this templating, in this earth timeline. It's time now to embody that. And so these aspects of myself that are like royalty, right, in these Russian and German timelines that are just like trying to remind me of my power and um, the gifts and abilities that I yield in those other parallel realities are very much able to be brought into this reality. But the templating for these crystal cities is something that I'm learning how to integrate through myself. And this is by, again, going back to that conversation I had earlier about working through each dimension of myself. And as I'm working through those dimensions, I am going through the trenches. I am doing the work. I am healing and I am healing and healing and healing. And by doing that, I'm ascending past the density in those dimensions and now reaching these higher crystal cathedrals that exist in these parallel realities of Earth. That what I'm being shown again are now like that information is coming through to us. So, to certain individuals that have aligned themselves with that information, the next stage of the mission. And this is an exhausting part of the mission because we are anchoring so much, we're integrating so much, and that in itself is the mission. So if you're sleeping a lot right now, you're feeling like you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing, like you should be doing more, Like that's part of the reason. And I think that's part of what gets me hung up in my human brain is like, well, if I'm not working, then I'm not making money. And so for me, working is working in my business, but Spirit's like, you are working. You're working on the energy realms, right? You're working in the 5D realms to anchor this information that the planet needs right now. And that money is going to catch up soon. It's going to come in other ways. And those aspects of you that are royalty, you're going to remember your royalty. You're going to embody this, right? And your reality is going to begin to reflect this inner template, this inner crystal template that is royal in nature, that is abundant and has all of these, riches, right? That's what we're seeding through us into the planet, because it's not just about us, right? We're doing this for the collective. So the collective can experience this with us as well, because we are all royalty in our own nature, right? So I hope that that kind of makes sense. It's like the best way that I know how to explain it, because again, most of the time I'm just getting these visions and I'm trying really hard to bring those visions down from the higher realms into my, human realm here and put it into words the best that I can. So if you are experiencing any of this, or if this resonates in any sort of way, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me by email or on my website, theomraray.academy, or omrarayacademy@protonmail.com. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really does help to get this video out to more people, because as you know, the algorithms don't favor videos that just get watched. They need to be liked and commented on, and comments are great to kind of help gain that traction for those that could benefit from this information. So I will leave that at that. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy your day.